Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Screenwriting Tips. My name is Tony D, and today I'm talking about why I hate treatments. I hate them. There was a time in the industry where treatments were considered something important because I think people actually read prose, and it is nigh impossible to get anybody in LA to read anything. It's just that way. People in the industry, they just don't read. They just don't read. They want everything summarized. The treatment was supposed to be a summary. Maybe back in the day, when people read books and stuff, a treatment was something they could read because it was shorter than reading the screenplay, and they were willing to read something that was, you know, a detailed treatment, 10, 20, 25 pages. These days, treatments are so rarely asked for, but they're still asked for. And typically when I see someone ask for a treatment, I just go, oh no. Because to me, I can write an entire screenplay faster than I can write a treatment. Now, it doesn't mean I can't write a story. I can write a short story, but short stories aren't treatments. See, that's the problem. See, I have a short story sample that I send out, and it's a little science fiction-y thing about a guy who gets frozen in ice, and it's not a movie. You could stretch it out to be a movie. I mean, you could read that short story and go, wow, this is really good, and I really like the premise and everything. And you might be able to craft a movie around the premise, but it's not meant to be a movie. It's not a big enough story to be a movie. You'd have to alter it. Right, Joan? Little Joan, come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Joan doesn't want to say hi. So, you know, I feel that, but she wants to show off even though she's not in front of the camera. Yeah. All right, you run away. Anyhow, when someone asks you to write a treatment, what do you write? Well, you want to find out exactly what they mean. Because unless they're an old school Hollywood guy, you know, the treatment is basically a summary of your screenplay. And I really feel that people who are making movies should have the ability to read a screenplay and see the movie in their head. If you're not doing that, or if you're incapable of that, please hire somebody who is, or get out of movies. That's my attitude. It's like, you should be able to read a screenplay and see the movie in your mind. You should be able to make the leaps you need to make in your head when you see a screenplay and read the words and the dialogue and the scenes. Now, I'm not suggesting that the screenplay format should be greatly altered to accommodate that, but there are guys who, and I always mention Shane Black because I love Shane Black, you know, it's snazzy, short, concise, little sentences that are the descriptions that really make the scripts that he writes readable. Now, screenplays they're not meant to be read. They're not meant, people don't curl up with a good screenplay. They just don't. They you know, for me, like when I read a screenplay, I usually just read the dialogue. I kind of skim over the scene descriptions because a lot of times they're so arduous, or they're just instructions. I just want to read the dialogue, and if I start reading the dialogue and I'm kind of confused as to what's going on, I might go back and read the description. But you know, the thing is, the screenplay is instructions on making a movie. It's not meant to be read. And there are plenty of guys who can write good treatments, but they are terrible at writing screenplays. They just suck at it. Because I can, you know, writing a screenplay and a short story are two different skills. They're just two different skills. Now, there's a lot of overlap in those skills, and there are plenty of guys who can do both, but there are some guys who are especially good at writing treatments, and they suck at writing screenplays, and vice versa. There are probably more guys who are good at writing treatments, since they're very much like short stories, rather than writing screenplays. Writing screenplays is something that no one in LA actually wants to do. They really don't want to do it. They all want to take credit for it, but they don't want to actually do the screenplays. To them, it's an arduous chore that they hate and takes forever. So if you've got a screenwriter who's struggling to get to 90 pages on a concept, and he's written a treatment and character outlines, and he's written all these little side things, what it is a guy who is delaying what he can't do, right? It's like, if you can write a screenplay, you just write them. You just fucking write them. Part of my language. It's not that hard. It's only 90 pages, and when I say 90 pages, it's mostly dialogue. And that's fun and interesting, and if you're seeing it in your head and you're a screenwriter, it's easy. It's easy. Once you have the skills, it's easy, or it should be easy. It should flow out of you. The dialogue should flow out. You should be able to write a scene where characters are like boom, 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 back and forth, and the story is being driven forward. You know, you should be able to do that. That's the skill. If you're doing that, you're a screenwriter. Congratulations. The problem is most people don't understand that skill. They fail to understand that skill. So part of their delaying tactic to try to understand if it's a good story is, well, give me a treatment to try to explain the story to me, because I'm incapable of reading a screenplay and figuring it out for myself. So I theorize that most people in this day and age, when they're asking for treatments, they're part of the group of people who like this torturous process of crafting a screenplay in stages, right? So they're going to want to pitch, and then a treatment, and then another treatment, and then a rewrite, another rewrite, another rewrite, and character outlines, and all sorts of stuff that lead up to the screenplay. None of that necessarily helps you. It can, if you have a very complicated screenplay, if you have a very complicated world in which there are politics and intrigue and science. It's like a science fiction thing and it's very complicated. Yes, all that kind of stuff can help you if it's that complicated. But if you're doing that for like a revenge story, you've already doing way too much. You're already overthinking it. And there are plenty of movies out there, they're overproduced, they're just completely overwrought, and they should have just been stripped down to the basics. Because when you overproduce something and you make things more important than they are, people are watching it going, oh, well, I'm expecting a bigger payoff. And then when they get the payoff, even if it's a valid, solid payoff, they kind of go, huh, I was kind of expecting something more. I'm underwhelmed here. So that's like a promise you're giving the audience. When you overproduce something, you're promising them more than you can give them. So you don't want to do that anyway. So if it's a simple story, you need a simple screenplay. If you've got a revenge story, you shouldn't be spending 2 years writing it. If you're spending 2 years writing a revenge story, please stop and quit screenwriting. Just stop. It's too much. Now that doesn't mean you're not gonna rewrite things according to the producer, or maybe they change actors or whatever. I've done that, of course. But when you're talking major rewrites, you get sucked down into this process, and I've been sucked down into it, where it's just the producer who can't commit to the creative process. They can't commit to the script because everybody's whispering in their ear saying, oh, add this, add that. And I've gone through that process too. I had a producer, I rewrote his screenplay probably 13 times. And when I say I rewrote it, I did major rewrites on the screenplay. Like whole scenes were removed, whole concepts were removed. It's really, with that many drafts and that many major changes, it was really 3 different movies. I could have pulled 3 different movies. You could have shot, there's the movie that got made, and then 2 movies before that never got made. And you could make all 3 of them, and they would be completely different movies except for the characters' names and maybe some of the themes. That's how far removed they were from the original. So this treatment process tends to be a delaying tactic from people who they just can't commit. They can't commit to one story. They're afraid if they miss one precious element that someone suggests, somehow it's going to diminish the movie. And that, unfortunately, is a sign you're going to be in rewrite hell, development hell. You're going to be rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. Every time somebody whispers in the producer's ear, you're going to be rewriting it again. And it's a nightmare. And it's part of the downside of being a screenwriter. So be prepared. That's why in my contracts now, I always put time limits, drafts, because that helps the producer. Because if they know they got to pay you more money, they got to pay thousands of dollars for you to rewrite something, oh, they'll be fine with it. Yeah, suddenly they're, oh, well, you know what? I think we're good. You know, when it comes to their wallet, oh, they'll suddenly start making up their minds. So it helps them, you know. Then they have to make a real tough decision. If they got to pay you again thousands of dollars, then they're going to really think about it. If they don't have to pay you again and again and again for these endless rewrites, they'll just keep rewriting it forever. So be warned. Be warned. And I hate treatments. But if you need one written, you know where to find me. My name is Tony D. You can check me out on Patreon, the Webcomic Factory, and Superfat for my comics. That's it for screenwriting tips this week. I'm trying to keep these short, and we'll see you next time.